we don't know what will happen in the northeast. If you remember during this controversy now about the Dalai Lama visiting, and earlier the Barua made a statement saying that India should not antagonize China, and the Chinese have said that they can hurt India. Now, one way they can do it, this renaming of those 6 places, it's a meaningless gesture at one level. But one thing they can do is to start providing greater support for militants in the northeast. Now, they can do it through Burma, obviously there is, or they can try and, support some groups that may come up in Arunachal, or we don't know what are the prospects for that, but they can attempt stuff like this. So obviously we need to be aware of that. Means whether there are any changes to China's policy towards Kashmir. You see, till now, since the 90s, they have essentially said this is a bilateral dispute between India and Pakistan. You talk bilaterally, peacefully, and sort it out. Now, there is a possibility that this very neutral position, so to speak, can be changed. We need to be aware of that. Now, if you see, going back to the pre-90 period, the American policy from 47, 48, slight nuance, it always, while they said peaceful settlement and so on, but it always favored Pakistan. Only in 1999, from our perspective, the American position became truly neutral. When they said status quo, no changing of borders with blood, when Clinton came here, he said you cannot redraw borders with blood, and so on and so forth. Now, that position, the position America took during Kargil war, actually favored us, but it was a neutral position that this should not be done. Pakistan should not be doing what it's doing. Now, similarly, the Chinese similarly maintained a neutral attitude. But if the India-China relationship goes south, deteriorates, that is one thing we need to look out for. They might not do it, but if they do it, if things really go bad and they do it, it will complicate our problem. And then there is, obviously it is a fact that China, Pakistan are closely interlinked. But it is also possible that through diplomatic means, we can limit the kind of support that China would give to Pakistan. I think we need to keep that in mind and not do things that will bring them closer together. So we need to be sensitive to that. It's a good point, because today we are not America, which can intervene in Iraq, in Afghanistan, send some troops here, send some troops there. We have limited capabilities. We know our capability towards China is, it's very defensive today. Even the strike corps that is being established, it's still coming into being. It's going to take at least 10 years.
Not one Indian from there says, I will go and settle down in China. Even the people in the border who may be dissatisfied by lack of development will come into Indian mainland for a job. What they're asking for is, why don't you develop roads and infrastructure over here? So the dissatisfaction, if any, is to say, hey, Delhi is developing. If you can have 24-hour power, why should we not have power? Why should we not have more education or healthcare? That frustration, that's even in our villages in the heartland. There are villages in UP, Madhya Pradesh, Bihar, Jharkhand, anywhere, who will have the same problem. So the Chinese are trying to influence their mind, as you talk about hybrid warfare, is also one of the things to influence the mind of the people. So the mind of the people is agitated to say, hey, bring development here. And I think the government is addressing that, the military is addressing that. And that is why you see a large number of projects have been fast-tracked. We want to go to the last inch of our territory, and we are very sure that we will not allow the Chinese to change the status quo by force. I can assure you, as a military man, no way that can happen. And the Chinese know it, and the Chinese respect your military might. You look at the Pakistani way, they for years and years and years they have deployed their military. Every aspect of military is used against their own people. I know that they have destroyed by bombing entire villages. We don't do that. Our young people in J&K need to understand this difference. As a matter of fact, we've all served in J&K. We have been there as young officers. You have to look around at if J&K was so deprived, there should have been poverty, there should have been no education, there should have been hunger, there should have been beggars. J&K is one of our better, in standard, it is much higher than many states. How? They are still able to do trade. Has the trade suffered? Has the agriculture suffered? The answer is no. There is problem. There is a political problem and we need to solve it. We need to tell these people your demand for azadi is all nonsense. You have more azadi here than you'll ever have anywhere else. You have as much azadi as I have as an Indian standing here in front of you in Delhi as they have standing in Srinagar. As a matter of fact, they misuse their azadi by picking up a stone and throwing at something. That is not azadi. The state has been very kind, has not reacted, has not used the legal powers against these people. This man had a few minutes to take a decision about which we are debating for now weeks, and we have still not arrived at what is right. So let us salute this man and say, hey, what we are still debating on national media and not understanding and not able to come out with a clear answer what should have been done, he has taken a decision. That decision saved lives. That decision saved the situation for the day. Let's leave it at that. And I think